there is a desire for change. It's a country which has a somewhat difficult past. If it can produce a successful process of change, if it can modernise, if it can democratise, I think it would do a very important thing.
"30 years ago, on March 2nd, Libya embarked on a radical and unique political journey to create a governance system based on the principles of direct democracy. The people's authority was born. Libya has had a troubled past. It has been in direct confrontation with the West. It has experienced military aggression and economic sanctions. Libya, its people, and its leader were isolated. In recent years, Libya has changed. Its decision to give up its weapons of mass destruction was welcomed by the West. Sanctions have been lifted, and Libya has re-engaged with the wider world.
الجلوس على موائد المفاوضات والتصافح والتعاون ومواجهة تحديات العصر التي هي العدو المشترك لكل شعوب الكرة الأرضية.
The world is changing. That if a country is prepared to say, we want to put the past behind us, we want to give up chemical and nuclear weapons capability, we want to cease our ties with terrorist groups, then we should be willing to open up to that.
Given its history, many are skeptical about Libya's re-emergence. But how much do we really know about Libya today? At 1.75 million square kilometers, Libya is the fourth largest country in Africa and almost 6 times the size of Italy. 90% of the country is desert or semi-desert. The vast majority of approximately 6 million Libyans live along 2,000 kilometers of Mediterranean coastline. Libya boasts 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Historically, Libya's economy relied on trade. Today, its economy is based on its massive oil and gas reserves that account for 95% of exports and more than 60% of GDP. The Romans, the Vandals, the Ottomans, and the Italians have all at one time laid claim to the country. In 1951, Libya finally gained independence when the United Nations appointed King Idris. As well as being the world's youngest country, Libya was also one of its poorest. This changed forever when oil reserves were discovered in 1959. Oil brought new wealth to Libya, but as too much of this wealth flowed into the pockets of those connected to the government and the foreign oil companies, discontent grew among ordinary Libyans. In September 1969, a small group of army officers, led by معمر القذافي, launched the El Fatah revolution and overthrew the monarchy without the firing of a single shot. The young officers formed a revolutionary command council with Gaddafi as its chairman. They set about making better use of the oil wealth, investing in education, housing, and healthcare for the Libyan people. At the same time, tensions in the region were mounting. Gaddafi took strong positions on the Arab-Israeli conflict and led OPEC's increasingly aggressive stance against the West. While these actions drew admirers in the Arab world, Libya's relations with the West deteriorated. Unknown to many outside Libya, Gaddafi was also working on ideas for a new form of government. Gaddafi dreamed of a Libya governed directly by its people without the intervention of political representatives. Direct democracy was for him the ideal and indisputable method of government. In the Green Book, published in 1976, Gaddafi described these aspirations, offering a blueprint for the development of direct democracy. And 30 years ago, on March 2nd, 1977, Libya declared itself a Jamahiriya, or state of the masses, with the declaration of the people's authority. Although the aims of direct democracy are radical, its roots are ancient.
Athens has been a model of democracy, and Mr. Qaddafi talks a lot about Athens, and I think he sees the possibility of a kind of modern agora in Libya. When you look at this work that was written in the 1970s called the Green Book, it reads in parts like Rousseau, and it starts with this fundamental thesis: democracy means the people governing themselves, not the people choosing those who govern them. That's something else.
Rousseau believed that popular sovereignty was possible if the state met certain conditions. Among them was a need for a small population that was secure, unified, and self-sufficient. Although Libya's population was small, its life as a unified country had been short, and it was wholly dependent on oil. Crucially, the birth of the Jamahiriya also coincided with increasing international pressure that challenged the security of the Libyan state. Against these odds, Libya continued to develop on its aspirations for the Jamahiriya. Over the years, there have been many modifications aimed at improving the system. Its essence remains direct popular participation in deliberation and decision-making through people's conferences. The fundamental units of governance are the basic people's conferences. Every citizen over the age of 18 belongs to one of the hundreds of conferences throughout Libya. Here, the people debate all issues of national and local policy. Their decisions and resolutions are then forwarded to the National General People's Conference, which meets once or twice a year. It is not a parliament, but rather a gathering where the members take the basic people's conference's decisions to the national level in order to reach final resolutions and laws. The General People's Conference also appoints an executive, the General People's Committee, to implement these decisions and laws. This executive branch is divided into committees that are similar to ministries. Of course, a system where everyone has a voice creates its own unique set of problems.
Qaddafi has insights that are, I think, quite acute. The problem, and this is what I said to him, is implementation. It's one thing to say that it's better to have direct democracy, but when you're at a scale well beyond that of the ancient Greeks, it's much harder to implement.
Direct democracy depends upon a localized form of government, but Libya found its security threatened, and this necessitated strong central leadership. These difficulties have meant that Libya has struggled to realize the aspirations of the system and its founder. Libya in 2007 is a different place. It is no longer isolated. It has taken responsibility for past actions. Still a major oil producer, its new role as an ally in the fight against global terrorism has been applauded in the West.
For a number of years now, Libya has seized its direct support for acts of terrorism and has taken concrete steps to distance itself from terrorist organizations.
أعتقد أن قضية اليوتي اليوم وقضية الكربي ممكن نقولوا خليناها وراء ظهرنا ودخلنا مرحلة جديدة إن شاء الله.
Like many oil-rich nations, Libya has struggled to develop a competitive economy. Libya's national economic strategy now aims to modernize and diversify the Libyan economy through positive steps, such as the recent launch of an Economic Development Board.
And this is an organization which will have really a very focused agenda on improving radically the business environment, the efficiency of business regulation, the assistance provided to entrepreneurs, and we need to create sort of an accelerator. And that's why a Libyan Economic Development Board is so important.
In 2006, Saif al-Islam al-Qaddafi launched a state-sponsored savings plan to help Libyans invest in their future and prepare for retirement.
لكن احنا الليبيين ما عندناش مدخرات كافية. كيف احنا نتمكن من أن نمتلك هذه الأصول من خلال هذه الصناديق؟ هذه الصناديق هي اللي في الأول بتستثمر وبعدين بتحول لك أنت الملكية بآلية مالية ستعرض عليكم بتفصيلها.
Recognizing that a competitive economy requires top-class managers, Libya has begun investing in its future leaders. Libya is also embracing the digital revolution. it is one of 7 countries signed up to pilot the innovative One Laptop Per Child program. This program will develop education, learning, and communication skills for 1 million Libyan children. Libya's ambitions for direct democracy remain as strong as ever. In a new and more favorable political climate, it has invited world-renowned political theorists to Libya to discuss how to modernize and improve the Jamahiriya system.
One of the most important things in Libya will be to transform the system of governance, to sustain maybe quite a lot that's already there in the Green Book, but to transform it into a modernized version.
And a modern democratic government in Libya has to realize that there has to be space for civil society, space for markets, space for business, space for entrepreneurship, space for culture, space for art, space for education. And that is a space that lies beyond the space of popular sovereignty.
Libya, as it moves toward a more contemporary kind of democracy, needs to think about how to encourage associations and free associations of people, indeed needs to encourage people to get involved in organizations that are sort of midway between the tribe on the one hand and the nation as a whole.
Improving the quality of deliberation at the local level has been one of the goals of recent changes to the system. Communes of 100 people were introduced in 2006 to allow for more effective deliberation.
100 ليبي يجتمعوا مع بعضهم، كل 100 ليبي رجال ونساء يجتمعوا مع بعض يقدروا يناقشوا كل شيء بسهولة.
In addition, an e-democracy platform will use information technology to enable virtual deliberation and more transparency at the local level. Building state institutions that can effectively implement policy decisions is another key challenge.
If Libya can actually create institutions in the sense of these rules that are not bound to personalities, that are transparent, that function according to a certain set of written documents that actually govern how authority is used and transmitted, I think that would be the beginning of economic development. It would be a means of Libya being able to translate its enormous potential into social outcomes that are good for the Libyan people, for the region as a whole.
Today's Libya is a different place to that born 30 years ago. The continuing journey towards direct democracy is long and sometimes difficult. But Libya's aspirations remain unchanged, to establish a genuine state of the masses governed directly by the people. Undoubtedly a bold ambition. Can it be achieved?